Today I'm happy to talk with Senior Warden Jim Lamb, Junior Warden Lynne Charlat, and Treasurer David Morgan about our 2021 asking budget. So Jim, let me start out with you by asking, what is an asking budget?
Thank you for asking, and thank you, Kurt, for helping us by moderating these ministry moments. Each year, the wardens and treasurer develop what we call the asking budget. This proposed budget reflects what we anticipate we will need to maintain the existing programs and services, as well as pay for any new or expanded offerings. But I want to clarify that this is different from the Faith Like a River capital campaign. Annual stewardship pledges pay for the ongoing operations of the cathedral, while the capital campaign funds pay for renovations and capital improvements. The asking budget is, in essence, our stewardship campaign goal. As Lynne will discuss in a moment, the stewardship asking budget can be explained in terms of our major ministry areas: worship, parish ministries, outreach, administration of facilities, and diocesan support.
So Jim, why is a stewardship campaign so important?
Stewardship pledging is critical because the vestry needs to have an idea of the projected income before it can adopt a budget for the year. The asking budget provides a blueprint, but the actual pledges drive what we can spend. We hope to receive sufficient pledges so that we can continue to support our vital ministries as we adopt a final budget in December. This year, pledges are even more important. Since we have suspended in-person worship, our open plate and facilities revenues are diminished. However, even though the cathedral is physically closed during the pandemic, we are virtually open and are offering a host of worship opportunities, ministries, outreach, and other activities supporting our mission. Stewardship pledges support these activities. All of us recognize the challenges many of us face during these uncertain times and difficult times during this pandemic. And it's just at this kind of time our ministries become so especially important for each one of us in our community.
So Jim, what are the next steps in the 2021 stewardship campaign?
The clergy, the wardens, the vestry, and the staff thank all of our pledging and non-pledging members for your faithful pledging efforts during these difficult days with the COVID-19 pandemic. Yes, the church buildings are closed to in-person gatherings for worship and programs, but our ministries continue to function and to grow. Regarding the 2021 campaign, we are asking three things of our parishioners. First, review the stewardship materials that are being sent to you. They contain a wealth of information on Trinity's budget and plans. If you have a question or need further information, please ask us. Second, please begin your prayerful consideration of your 2021 pledge. Can you match or consider perhaps increasing your pledge? If you gave through open plate, would you consider making a pledge instead? Third, please return your pledge no later than Sunday, November 15, so we may adopt a 2021 budget. You can also pledge online at our website or simply send the office an email.
Well, Jim, thank you so much for discussing the 2021 asking budget and stewardship campaign with us. Could you leave us with your opinions about the importance of supporting Trinity's annual stewardship campaign?
Yes, before this pandemic hit us, we had some great plans with our new staff that's come on board, our new director of music and organist, and our new Christian education director. And of course, the pandemic has caused us to have to look at different ways of doing it. But I look forward to the day, hopefully not in the too far distant future, when things will return to some sort of normal, so that we can enjoy the opportunity to worship together and to enjoy the great program activities that will be taking place at Trinity.
So David, before we get into the particulars of the 2021 asking budget, let's get a little update on how we're doing in the current year, 2020.
Well, actually, we're doing quite well in the circumstances. While the plate and non-pledge offerings have diminished because we haven't been meeting actively in the church, the pledge amounts have held up remarkably well. Our parishioners have been very good about either mailing in their pledge amount or going online and making sure that their pledge is being fulfilled. The end of the last reporting period that I had, we were right on budget as far as the pledge amounts are concerned. So our shortfall is simply because of the open plate and the non-pledge contributors that haven't had an opportunity. A number of these have stepped up. The non-pledge people have been making regular payments either online or through the mail. There's actually been some that have come by the church and dropped it through the mail slot or left it at the office. Overall, I'm very pleased with where we are so far this year. Our parishioners have been great supporters of this church and cathedral.
So David, thanks for discussing the asking budget with us. Can you tell us in your own words your heartfelt opinion about why participating in the stewardship campaign is so very important?
Well, it's the only way that the officers in the vestry who are responsible for the administration of the church can make their plan for 2021 by having a fairly good idea of how much is available to support the necessary activities of the church. Our largest expenses, of course, are payroll and the cost of operating the facility, and both of those are critical to the mission, the various things that we do here at the church, at the cathedral, whether it's the music choir program, whether it's the sack lunch program, or whether it's just going about the normal business of the church. The vestry has to have a pretty good idea as to how much money is coming in, and then we can allocate what mission, what programs we can support, and to the extent that we can. It's absolutely necessary for them to have an idea as to the amount that's available to support those programs.
Lynn, earlier Jim mentioned the major areas that comprise the budget. Can you describe those areas for us, please?
I'd be happy to. Our proposed 2021 asking budget is about $780,000, an increase of approximately 7% over 2020. This reflects all our anticipated expenses and takes into account our forecast for reduced open plate and facilities income. Before getting into too much detail, I want to remind everyone to look for your stewardship packet and watch for additional videos, which include more information on these areas. The first component I'd like to speak on are the expenses associated with providing our worship services, that which is central to our mission. This area accounts for about 11% of our budget. In addition to providing our regularly streamed Sunday and Thursday services each week, we have expanded our worship opportunities with the addition of a twice-weekly service of Compline, as well as other opportunities. Generally, we have been continuing to offer our regular worship services, with some things tailored to provide greater sources of comfort and support in these times. Father William and Reverend Ruth and our pastoral associates are striving to reimagine our work and expand worship offerings to our members. We also have an active centering prayer group that meets by Zoom, as well as our prayer chain group.
So, Lynn, it looks like, in reviewing the budget here, that the largest area is in parish ministries, and that accounts for about 37% of the asking budget. Is that correct?
Yes, and this is an area in which the vestry has made deliberate decision to increase investment beginning in 2020. Let me briefly describe the main elements of this area. Going hand in hand with our worship programs are the many ministerial services provided by our clergy: pastoral support, bereavement and grief support, pre-baptismal and marital counseling, and Eucharistic visits. To strengthen these areas, we have hired the Reverend Ruth Hanusa as our canon for parish life. In education, we are striving to maintain and expand our adult Christian education opportunities, being led and overseen by Reverend Ruth. These include an array of online classes for adults, such as virtual Bible studies, book discussions, adult forums, and retreats. For children and youth, we are excited to continue our Sunday school offerings, being led by our new Christian Education Director and Episcopal Youth Community Leader, Judy Landis. Look for the Stewardship video focusing on Christian education at Trinity. With the addition of Gary Gordon as our full-time Director of Music and organist, our music program is poised to expand our musical programming inside and outside of Sunday morning worship. Upon the completion of the renovation of the cathedral sanctuary, the return of the cathedral pipe organ, and hopefully the development of a vaccine to control the virus, we will return to the cathedral to listen to spiritually uplifting musical gifts. Look for a separate stewardship video on our music program. The balance of this area of our budget includes our in-reach activities, such as hospitality and social activities. Closely aligned with our parish ministries are our outreach ministries to meet human needs. This area comprises about 3% of our budget. These include several programs, largely run by our parishioners, that provide needed assistance to the most vulnerable of our community. Our sack lunch volunteers continue to provide sack lunches to the needy 3 days a week, all year long. The Daughters of the King coordinate the annual Angel Tree Project to provide Christmas gifts to needy children. Parishioners donate non-perishable food, pet food, and personal hygiene items, which are delivered to the food pantry in Sparks. The Prayer Shawl Ministry continues its work remotely to provide prayer shawls to those who desire them. And lastly, the Baby Bundles group, while not currently meeting in person, is still assembling bags with accessories for newborns.
Well, just like any organization, not-for-profit, or company, Trinity has various administrative costs and overhead and facilities expenses. What kinds of things are included in that, and what kinds of things does this area of the budget pay for?
The administrative area includes those expenses supporting cathedral operations, such as our insurance costs, supplies, our copier lease, and postage. Working with Molly Vatinel, our cathedral administrator, we're refining and improving our administrative operations. I hope you have enjoyed our new Carillon weekly newsletter that Molly and Gary have created for us. We are currently implementing measures to protect our computer systems and membership databases, and soon we'll be revamping our website. David Morgan has overseen the successful conversion of the cathedral's accounting system to an industry standard program. With respect to facilities, this portion of the budget pays for our utilities, upkeep of both the cathedral building and the parish hall, and our sexton Carmen Lopez as well. Many parishioners might not realize that because Carmen lives in a small apartment on site, she also provides a 24-hour watchful security presence protecting the cathedral. We strive to keep both administrative and facilities expenses to an absolute minimum. For 2021, they represent only 18 and 12% of the asking budget, respectively.
And what is diocesan support?
To be an Episcopal church means we have a bishop to provide spiritual leadership, guidance, and vision. Like all churches in the diocese, Trinity pays a portion of its income to the Diocese of Nevada to support the bishop's work. This formula is created by the Standing Committee of the diocese and has been changed for next year. 2021 will see a 19% ask from the diocese against a revised formula. We also have a history of support of Camp Galilee.
Well, thank you for discussing the budget with us today, Lynn, and sharing your experiences with us. Could you share with us your own opinions and thoughts about the importance of supporting Trinity's annual stewardship campaign?
My husband Rich and I give out of deep gratitude for God's benevolence and grace. When we prioritize where to give our time and money, Trinity Cathedral has been our focus. This cathedral has provided a church home and foundation for us. Our giving towards its support sets our intentions and our priorities about what is important to us. We give because we know that our contributions and those of our fellow parishioners will assure a strong future for our church. Knowing that our pledge to Trinity supports how we worship, how we raise our families, how we care for each other and for our community is something Rich and I both treasure. Each one of us is called to build the kingdom of God right now, in our time and in our place. And we delight in helping our cathedral family with that extraordinary and life-changing work.